A few weeks ago I walked into the bathroom here, flushed the toilet, and nothing happened. No water. And that's when I realized something. My smart home controls lights, heating, cameras, solar power, robot mowers. But one of the most important systems in the house was still basically running blind. Water. The rain tank had no real awareness of how much water was left. The pump had no proper protection logic. There was no freeze awareness. No understanding of whether the system should actually be running at all. And if something went wrong, I usually discovered it at exactly the worst possible moment. So I started automating it, and somehow this turned into a complete water management system inside Home Assistant. And the weird part is, at some point, the rain tank started behaving exactly like a battery system, because now the house knows how much water is left, whether the pump is safe to run, whether rain was detected recently, and whether irrigation should even be allowed. And if conditions become unsafe, the system physically disables the pump automatically. And honestly, this became way more complicated than I expected, because every time I thought the system was finally finished, reality exposed the next problem. So here is the setup. At Weekend House I use rainwater as technical water, mostly for the toilet and other non-drinking use. Simple idea. Tank, pump, some plumbing, done, except traditional rain tank systems are basically blind. You hope there is enough water. You hope that the pump is safe. You hope temperatures stay above freezing. And if something goes wrong, you usually find out, well, yes, of course, when you actually need the water. That's the part I wanted to fix. Not remote control, not a smart plug connected to a pump. Actual awareness, because turning a pump on remotely is not intelligence. The system understanding whether the pump should run, that's where things get interesting, because unlike lighting automations, bad water logic can actually damage hardware. A run pumping dry is not just annoying, it can destroy the pump itself. Frozen lines, same thing. And suddenly this stops being just another automation, and that's the part I actually wanted. Not control, but protection. And the weird thing is, the deeper I went into this project, the more it started behaving exactly like my solar system. The tank level became like battery percentage, water usage became resource allocation, and suddenly the house was making decisions about water the same way it already makes decisions about energy. Tank almost full, use water more aggressively. Tank getting low, protect critical usage. Rain expected tomorrow. Delay irrigation. Freeze risk. Lock the system down completely. And this is where Home Assistant becomes incredibly powerful. Not because it can control a pump, but because it can combine multiple signals and make decisions before problems happen. So the system now has several layers. At the core, it's physical infrastructure, the rain tank itself, Gardena pump, a Shelly controlling the pump, a Zigbee level sensor for the tank measuring water level, and also a Zigbee temperature sensor mounted directly on the tank, but outside. Technically, yes, the sensor is outside, but because it's mounted directly to the plastic tank and the water itself acts as a huge thermal mass, it usually gives surprisingly useful freeze information. But now the more important part. The system can physically block pump before it runs dry. It can shut the entire thing down if freezing becomes dangerous. And later, it will even decide whether the garden deserves water, more than the house does. Then comes the context layer, presence detection from the Home Assistant via the companion app, weather forecast integration, a Zigbee rain sensor, and honestly, this rain sensor is funny because it's far from perfect. It works using exposed PCB traces. Rain bridges the contacts. The sensor detects moisture. Simple, cheap, effective enough, but definitely not precise. Sometimes it stays wet long after rain stops. Sometimes moisture lingers longer than expected. And this is exactly where smart homes get interesting, because instead of expecting one perfect sensor, I use multiple imperfect signals. The weather forecast tells the system rain is expected. The rain sensor confirms rain is actually happening right now. And together, those two imperfect signals become surprisingly useful. So now the system also stores the timestamp of the last detected rain event. Not because I need exact rainfall measurements, but because recent rain changes irrigation decisions. And this is exactly the difference between automation and actual system intelligence. At first I thought the logic would be easy. If I'm at home, pump on. If I leave, pump off. Done. Except that logic immediately started falling apart, because water is not only for me anymore. The garden may need water even while I'm away. And once I started playing irrigation, drip lines, soil sensors, water priorities, and future automation, this became a real resource management problem. Because if irrigation needs water, the system also needs pressure in the pipes, which means the pump may need to run temporarily, even while nobody is at home. And suddenly, a very simple idea became surprisingly complicated, because now the system needs priorities. Technical water for the house, garden irrigation, freeze protection, low water protection, recovery logic, and all of those things can conflict with each other. This is where the project stopped being a smart plug connected to a pump. The entire system now works using protection states and permissions. For example, if water level becomes critically low, the system enables low water lockout. Not just a notification, a lockout. That lockout removes permission for pump to run. Then a separate controller automation reacts to the permission state and physically disables the pump. And this architecture matters a lot, because I do not want 10 different automations fighting over the same hardware. I want one system making decisions and one system controlling execution. So now the logic looks something like this. Low water, pump blocked. Freeze risk, pump blocked. Maintenance mode, pump blocked. And once conditions recover, permissions restore automatically. So if the tank refills after rainfall, the system can safely recover operation without manual intervention, which also means irrigation cannot accidentally drain the remaining water needed for the house itself. And yes, this also required hysteresis logic, because otherwise the pump would constantly bounce between on and off states near the threshold, which is a fantastic way to slowly destroy the hardware. Believe me, I'm already repairing one pump. This is one of those things people rarely show in YouTube videos, because it's not visually exciting. But honestly, this is a real engineering part. And yes, all of this logic, helpers, automations, template sensor, protection states, recovery logic, and dashboards will be available in the GitHub repository linked down below. Because this stopped being one automation a long time ago. The biggest real-world use case right now is technical water, especially the toilet. And this is exactly why I wanted this system. Because before automation, the process looked like this. Flush toilet, no water, check tank, check pump, check power, open Home Assistant, start troubleshooting. And now the house already knows the problem before I do. The system already knows the water level is critically low, freeze risk is active, maintenance mode is enabled, pump is disabled. And that's the real value of automation. Not convenience, but awareness. And here is the small rant. Most smart homes stop at turn this on remotely. But water systems punish bad automations very quickly. Run a pump dry long enough and you can destroy the hardware. Ignore freezing temperatures and suddenly you have plumbing problems. So context becomes everything. How much water is left? Did it rain recently? Is rain expected soon? Should irrigation even be allowed? Should technical water have priority instead? Should the system protect remaining resources? This is where smart homes become genuinely useful, not when they control devices, but when they manage resources intelligently. And this system is about to become much bigger. I already have 3D reality soil sensors, moisture sensors around the garden. And instead of using raw sensor values everywhere, Home Assistant creates higher level decision states. For example, vegetable zone dry. One simple state representing multiple sensors, because I do not want 7 sensors screaming at my system independently. I want system to understand whether the garden actually needs water. And the next step is adding Sonoff Zigbee water valve connected to drip irrigation lines. One line for vegetables and possibly one for the Mediterranean herbs later on. But again, not timer-based irrigation. I do not want water every day at 7 p.m. That's not smart home irrigation. Real logic looks more like this. Does the garden actually need water? Did it rain recently? Is rain coming soon? Is there enough water in the tank? Should technical water have priority instead? And this is exactly how a simple pump automation slowly turned into a real resource management. So at this point, this is no longer a rain tank automation. It's a state-driven water management system. And honestly, that happened almost accidentally. I started with a simple idea: control a pump, and ended up building a multi-layer system with protection logic, freeze awareness, resource priorities, recovery states, context signals, and future irrigation planning. And I think this is where smart homes become genuinely interesting. Not when they control devices, but when they understand your resources. Because once your house starts understanding context, everything changes. I really do hope that you did find this video interesting, and as always, if you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really means a lot. But also check that you are subscribed. And I really would like to hear your opinion. What is your smart context inside your smart home? And yes, as always, I want also to say thanks to all those wonderful people that are supporting me and that have become YouTube channel members. Thank you all for all of your support. But let's not forget each and every one of you who has watched, shared, liked or commented on my videos. Thank you. If you too want to support the channel, you can do so by clicking the join button down below and become a YouTube channel member for only €2 or $2 per month. Or you can go to my merchandise store and grab something there. Last but not least, you can always send me super thanks and I will be super thankful for that. I'll be seeing you next time. Until then, bye bye and have fun.